Hiya, welcome to LSB Features Radio Channel, where our mission in life is keeping great radio from the past alive. And today we're going to New York City and Imus in the morning. Imus was a radio legend in New York, probably considered the first shock jock, getting to WNBC radio in New York in 1971, left for Cleveland for a couple years in the late 70s when he was brought back to WNBC. He was at WNBC right up to the end and actually hung around when the station flipped to Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Imus was their morning man, and he stayed there for many, many years until 2007 when he got into a little bit of an issue, lost his job, and then a few months later landed the morning show at 77 WABC, and Imus stayed there right up until he decided to retire in 2019. Now, there was a time there back in the 1990s when C-SPAN would bring its cameras and leave Washington and walk away from covering Congress. They would go to WFAN and broadcast Imus's show. I guess they got a lot of positive response because they wound up doing it several times. And I had a chance to record some of these shows when they were on C-SPAN. And in this, you get to see Imus doing the show, behind the scenes. And it's a fascinating watch because you get to see how quick Imus thought. The interaction between him and Charles McCord, and if you stepped on his wrong side during the show, you'd get to see the wrath of Imus live on TV. It was a fascinating watch. So let's go back to the 1990s with C-SPAN and Imus in the morning on 66 Sports Radio WFAN.
I am Imus in the morning. It's coming up on the top of the hour here in New York City.
Quack, quack.
Birmingham, Alabama is postponed going on here for a couple of days.
That is correct.
Oh, okay. I'm Imus in the morning. This is WFAN in New York. It is time for the news, and here with that is my friend of 23 years.
Good Lord.
Wow. Yeah.
The co-best man at my wedding.
Yeah. Very honored to be there. Privileged, man. Thanks.
You should have seen Charles and his wife. These two yuppies with their little suit. If it had a polo pony on it, or an Auto Body Express logo. They had it on.
Damn right.
The little suitcases with the rollers on them out there in the middle of the Navajo reservation. I mean, you just look stupid.
Yeah, but we were comfortable, and why not move vehicularly, for crying out loud?
By the way, so somebody in the wedding party, because I was married, Deirdre and I got married out on the Navajo reservation in Utah, where there's no alcohol allowed. And someone in the wedding party snuck a bottle onto the reservation.
Oh.
Which is a punishable offense.
Wow.
Which, by the way, I was personally offended by.
Wow.
Because, one, I don't drink. And, two, here's my thinking. If you're a weekend guest out on an Indian reservation and you have to take a bottle with you, you know where your next stop should be?
Where?
An Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. That's where you should go. I mean, because if you can't go 2 days without a drink.
No alcohol on an Indian reservation?
Well,
that's like no basketball in Harlem. What the hell is that? I don't believe it.
Shut up. Jesus God. Speaking of vulgarity and poor taste. And when I talked to Tim Russell, we're going to talk about Martha Sherrill's column in Sunday's Washington Post.
All right.
I guess it was Martha Sherrill, unless Tony Kornheiser wrote it for her.
What do you mean?
Or Ellen Goodman, who had a day off at the Globe and wrote it for her.
Yeah.
You know, extolling a vulgarity.
What?
Suggesting that, it's a part of the hip media that appeals to the id in all of us.
Screw her.
That's not necessary. Can we eliminate that? I mean, that's not necessary.
No.
Do we have to have another? You know what we have to have? We have to have at 10 o'clock. We have to have a
meeting.
taste seminar.
Yep, big meeting coming up.
It's not the Howard Stern program.
This is okay. This is not.
The Imus the Morning Business Report is sponsored by Shawmut Bank. Understanding what you need and helping you make it happen. Well, there is an article that Charles gave me in this morning's style section. Is it this morning?
Yes, it is.
In this morning's style section of the Washington Post.
Correct.
Not the paper record, but at least a paper.
Yeah.
Suggesting, as I've said for months, that get the money in front from these book publishers because, like Simon & Schuster, they are just unmitigated thieves. and they will not pay you. They're worse than record companies. They're far worse than record companies.
Get it in front or don't get it.
Because you're not. I don't care how many books you sell. Why do you think Stephen King and Mary Higgins Clark and all these people get all that, get and Michael Crichton and all those folks get the money in front because they know they're not going to get paid.
Sure. Had experience.
I humped this idiotic novel of mine, Gods of the Sun, until my arms fell off. Subscribing to our policy in Vietnam, and in that we had to burn the village to save it. And do you think I'm going to get any money from them? No. The money I got was the advance, which we still haven't gotten, by the way. Still, I mean, but the book has been on the bestseller list for 2 months. It's still on, and we haven't got the advance yet, which is nothing. So Newt's made a huge mistake. Is anybody going to buy his books? No.
Well, I think.
Well, except the NRA will buy a couple 100,000 copies.
Well, of course.
The Imus of Morning Business Report, sponsored by Shawmut Bank, understanding what you need and helping you make it happen. It's coming up in 4 minutes past the hour in New York.
At Shawmut Bank, we understand what you need because we listen to what you say.
Yeah, we got to watch the time here. Hey, you know who does a great job is that Albuquerque station. Man, I mean, they got right on those cues and stuff.
That Fort Myers station does a good job.
Really?
Man. Yes.
Sounds
sharp.
Shawmut offers something better than credit cards. The Shawmut Convenience Plus card.
When did we go on in Miami? I wonder.
Cards, checks, or cash.
Any word on Miami or Pittsburgh or?
Millions of places worldwide.
No, I haven't spoken to Bart in a couple of weeks.
Just the word on that Birmingham situation.
So you don't have to pay any credit card interest.
We'll be paying interest on my frosty marshmallow bears and rabbit cereal.
Well,
For more information on the Shawmut Convenience Plus.
we have D'Amato at 10 after. So.
Yes, sir.
You think these people remember they're supposed to be on?
Understanding what you need, helping you make it happen.
Yeah, the only one that I didn't have any contact with in the last 2 weeks is the D'Amato people. But we got confirmed that before the 2 weeks. I spoke to the Army and the Russian and the Dole people over the vacation.
It's time for the winter clearance, and nobody beats the Wiz in a Sunday newspaper.
And in every one of the 50 Nobody Beats the Wiz
Dick
stores,
Army looks like Barney Frank a little bit, doesn't he?
featuring
Yes, he
some
does.
unbelievable savings.
As
Nobody
a matter
Beats
of
the
fact,
Wiz
quite a bit.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's which is fine.
As a matter of fact, disturbingly so.
$50 million of merchandise to make room for it all. We're talking low winter clearance prices on everything from big screen TVs.
Let's talk to Fred. May have Fred on, too.
Beepers. You get the idea. Nobody Beats the Wiz has every.
Stephanie, get me some coffee, would you please?
But there's still more. You'll find 0% interest for an extended time on special purchases.
Paid with the Privilege Plus card. And there's an extra 10% off open box merchandise. Winter clearance time. $150
You know,
million
we got new
worth of
gray
savings.
ones that say
Check
official
your Sunday
property
paper
owned
for
by
the
the
winter
Fred.
clearance circular. Or front one can
You'll be reminded what we say.
Stop.
Nobody Beats the Wiz.
Enough.
That was Leonard Skinner with "Ooh, that smell." Can't you smell that smell?
Yeah.
Scotzo here with you. And now for something we need about as much as another Yoko Ono record. More of the Imus in the Morning program.
Imus in the Morning News Time, 6 minutes past the hour here in New York City. Thanks, Stephanie. What did you do on your vacation, Stephanie?
I went to Florida.
Where in Florida?
Orlando.
Are we on in Orlando?
Negative.
Or not? Get us on there.
Yeah.
What did you do with your parents or something?
My parents and my brother Phil.
So you didn't have a chance to party or anything?
Well, actually, the team from Alabama was staying there. So,
Some people from Alabama?
yeah, because they were in the Citrus Bowl against Ohio State.
That's right, they won, didn't they?
Alabama won.
Did you go to that game?
No, we were home already. I watched it on TV.
So you're there in Orlando.
Right.
Well, why didn't you go to the game?
Because my brother had to be back home for his play
Do some
rehearsal.
shots? Go to the game? Tom? Get out. It's coming up at 7 after the hour.
Oh, man.
Stephanie, a graduate of St. John's University. Is that right, or Fordham?
No, CW Post.
Well, one of them.
Yeah, one of them on the East Coast, you know.
I've only known Stephanie about 5 years.
That's right. She went to a school here.
Surprised I know her name. Alphonse D'Amato's coming up in about 3 or 4 minutes. It's time for the news. And here with that now is my friend Charles McCord. What's up?
Student hairdresser accused of attacking 3 abortion clinics facing arraignment this morning in Virginia. This John Salvi is accused of spraying a Norfolk abortion clinic with gunfire the morning after 2 women were fatally shot at clinics in Brookline, Massachusetts. President Clinton has ordered a federal security crackdown for the country's abortion clinics. Attorney General Reno will be meeting with law enforcement people about additional security measures, but says the safety of employees and patients at clinics cannot be guaranteed, despite a new federal law designed to protect them. Bill Carter of Operation Rescue says the pro-life movement should not be held responsible for the actions of individuals.
I don't feel that I have anything to apologize for because I didn't do anything. I mean, this thing was a great tragedy. It's a horrible act, but we didn't do it. So why should we take responsibility for it?
New York Democratic Congresswoman Nita Lowey says the Right to Life movement can expect plenty of opposition, though, in Washington.
In Brookline and in Pensacola, pro-life extremists use a gun. In Washington, D.C., they hope to accomplish their goals legislatively. The methods are different, but the intent is the same: to take women backwards, to marginalize women's health, to restrict access to reproductive services, and we will fight them every step of the way.
President Clinton says U.S. attorneys will head task forces with local officials to study clinic security in their jurisdictions. He also wants Attorney General Reno to meet with law enforcement people about taking additional security steps, and she is going to do just that. A man,
Set them all on fire, maybe.
I don't think so,
A Waco thing going.
A manhunt is underway this morning in South Florida for 5 killers who tunneled their way out of prison. The escapees, all from Cuba, were serving life sentences for first-degree murder. John Townsend, a superintendent of the Glades Correctional Institution in Belglade, says the men are extremely dangerous. The 5 got out just as the inmates were being called in from the prison yard last night. Guards did fire on the men, but no word on whether any of them were actually hit. Washington, D.C. has a new mayor this morning. The very thankful Marion Barry inaugurated yesterday.
I'm thankful to the citizens of Washington for giving me a second chance to lead our great city into the dawn of yet another new day.
By the way, I am continue to be proud that I not only endorsed Marion Barry, but continue to support him.
Mm-hmm.
Much to the dismay of some of my whining, wussy, yuppie, liberal, bleeding heart friends.
Yeah.
But good for Marion Barry. Let's just hope that we don't even need to say what we hope.
Well, let's hope it goes well.
Let's just hope.
Doesn't turn into Mogadishu.
that's what we hope. And there's another man who I've supported for I can't tell you how long, and will continue to support to my dying day. One of the finest members of Congress on the planet, Senator Alphonse D'Amato. Good morning, Senator D'Amato.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Healthy New Year. And I understand the bride showed up.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, Senator.
Congratulations.
How are you?
Terrific.
Are you going to be able to sleep tonight?
Well, I hope so.
Are you?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty excited about tomorrow, or?
Well, yeah. I'll be down in Washington later this morning. I'll hop the plane to go on down. I'm very excited. I think it's an opportunity now to do something. I mean, we've been doing a lot of complaining. Now we're going to have to really do some things, change this welfare system around, put in a workfare system that makes sense, give some more power to the states, cut the size of government, cut spending, reduce some of these unnecessary regulations, and put in a capital gains tax cut, and that's going to help the middle class. And I like the one idea that the president put forth about letting families who are trying to put kids through college get a tax deduction. I mean, that's a tremendous burden on working middle class families. We ought to help them.
Are you going to not be as goofy as you've been now because of?
I will not sing E-I-E-I-O on the Senate floor. I'm going to save that for your program.
You're not going to get any big pencils and jab them into dinosaurs.
Well, that I might do. That was one of the all-time greats.
During
the Taxosaurus.
During one of the halftimes on the football games on Sunday, I was watching briefly the inauguration of the new governor of New York, and noticed that Howard Stern, my friend and your friend Howard Stern, had a better seat than the mayor of New York City, Rudolph Giuliani.
We have finally come to the realization of what's correct in life.
But there's a big this is not obviously an original observation, but there's the big rift exists between the governor of New York and the mayor of New York City, and it doesn't look like that's going to.
I think on a personal side that may be the case. You can't call basically someone a crook and an idiot in one hand, and then the next day say, well, I really didn't mean it. People don't believe that. However, as it relates to working for the city, George Pataki is absolutely going to be there for the city. And cutting taxes and for example, cracking down on hardened criminals, guys who run around with guns and don't let them out early. That's going to help reduce the crime rate, most particularly in New York City. So I think you're going to see the two of them a good professional working relationship, not a friendship.
How is your relationship with the mayor?
Right about the same.
Is it?
Yeah, sure, because, look, you can't have, again, a guy calls you every name under the book, goes out and works like the devil in passing false rumors around about you, and then think that you can be a friend. But if the city has a problem, I'm going to be there, and if they need help, I'm going to fight for them. So it's tough. It makes good news, though. It's good media things. They can point out, look where the mayor sat. All the other mayors sat in that row as well.
It's good. Last time you were on, we made the front page of all the papers.
You remember that?
Yeah, you said.
And you did it.
Well,
Your question, you said, are you going to squish him like a bug?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And what did I say?
You said yes.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
I said, you leave a bug alone. You don't squish him unless he bites you.
Yeah.
Right? And then it'd have, the big bug column. You made page 1.
The focus, at least with most of the news media, is on the House and this contract with America. And Mr. Gingrich says tomorrow's going to be the longest opening day in the history of the House. What happens in the Senate tomorrow of any significance?
Well, we're going to the new senators are going to take their seats. We'll take the majority again. I think we will be more deliberative, but I think a good part of that contract we will pass. For example, the things they outlined to you. I think welfare reform, that's going to take a little longer than 100 days to actually get passed, but we will pass welfare reform. I think you're going to see us pass tax cuts. I think you're going to see us pass spending cuts. For the life of me, I wonder why we have a full-blown Commerce Department with thousands and thousands of people doing what? What are they doing? They're sucking up taxpayers' money. I'm wondering why we have a huge agricultural department, which has more people than is necessary, and that's been going on for years. So there are things that we have to do, we can do, and they make sense. People are tired of government intruding in their life and not doing the thing they should be doing, which is providing for the public safety. So the one area where government has an absolute mandatory obligation to create domestic tranquility, we're failing on, and we're involved in every other lifestyle and program, down to the point where we would have states enforce mandatory EPA laws that would put you out of business. So I think a good part of that contract is going to be enforced. Now, what happens is that the House leader is a very outspoken fellow, and people jump on his every word. He has to remember now, Newt Gingrich, that he is the majority leader, and every utterance takes on national significance. So I think he'll be more temperate as things and time goes along.
Well, obviously, as you're being too, which is much to my dismay. But what time does the session actually kick off in the Senate tomorrow?
I think it's 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock?
Yeah, 10:30.
And then 10:01 we have Whitewater hearings, right?
No. As a matter of fact, the prosecutor there, Ken Starr, is doing an excellent job. I sat down with him, as you know, and we agreed that we would keep in touch with each other, that I was not going to move until he felt the areas that we would be holding hearings had been completed, his investigation, and then we would go forward. So I don't anticipate moving in that area much before March.
What is the... Well, see, here's the problem, Senator DeMaio.
Yeah.
Not to be totally frivolous, but that's about the time we're going to get opening arguments in the O.J. Simpson trial.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be a lot better if we had something to bridge the time between now and then.
Well, I'll ask my investigators if they can move it up.
Is there...
No.
What's the bottom line there, Senator?
Well, bottom line is that the people really are entitled to know where their federal taxpayer dollars used inappropriately. Was money taken from this failed SNL, about $60 million that the people lost, and used for political campaigns, used for personal use that was inappropriate? And was there an attempt to cover this up? Was there an attempt to reach into the Justice Department through Webb Hubbell, through the U.S. Attorney in Little Rock, through the RTC, where people suspended because they were doing their job, and was there an attempt by the White House or the administration to keep them from doing their job? Bottom line is we don't know, but there certainly are facts that indicate we know that money was lost. We know that there appears to be loans that were certainly inappropriate. And that's what we're going to discover. We're going to be thoughtful, thorough, and comprehensive. We will get the facts. By the same token, there is a criminal prosecution that is proceeding, possible criminal prosecution by Ken Starr. We don't want to interfere with his work, and so we're going to look to him for some guidance as to when he thinks it's appropriate for us to move forward in certain of these areas. What happened to the papers in Vince Foster's office? Were they shredded? Were they documents that indicated, for example, that there was an attempt to use monies inappropriately, that were used in whether it was a campaign or personally, whether it was by the Clintons or others? So we have a right to know that. The public has a right to know, and that's what we will pursue. But we're not going to do it in a crazy manner. We're not going to haul the president and Mrs. Clinton in, as some had speculated.
Oh, man, wouldn't that be great?
Pardon me?
Wouldn't that be great?
Well, I hope it's not necessary, but if it is, I'll let you know.
Wasn't, Senator, do you think George Stephanopoulos and Harold Ickes perjured themselves last time they testified?
I think they were certainly less than totally truthful. Some of their answers were just not believable, and we've referred some of their inconsistencies over to Ken Starr, and he's going to look at it. He'll make a determination whether they were perjurious. He might bring them in front of a grand jury. That's one of the things he can do again, and we might bring them back to re-examine them. And instead of having this ridiculous 5 or 10 minute rule, give to each side an appropriate amount of time so that they can really examine a witness and not just be cut off once you're getting to your point.
Are you folks going to switching gears here, take a look at the $28 billion that we're spending on the CIA?
Oh, yeah. I mean, first of all, I thought that the outgoing director, I think he did a terrible job. I think here he was covering up the old boy network. They're forcing out a station chief who did a good job. She reported all kinds of things. She was sent in to clean up the place, and the next thing you know, they fired her, brought charges against her. It was absolutely wrong. I called him almost a year ago to warn him about this case and see if he wouldn't look at it and settle it, and he about told me to drop dead. I think it's one of the good things to get rid of him and now try to get an opportunity to get something for our money. It's important to have good intelligence. And I think that there are lots of people who have been doing a good job over there, but there's a huge bureaucracy at the same time that exists only for itself.
That's a lot of money, isn't it? $28 billion.
$28 billion, and I think we could be getting better intelligence, and it's important because, you've got these breakaway republics in what used to be the Soviet Union. They've got atomic weaponry. We know that some of them are attempting to sell some of this. You've got the Muslim fundamentalists that pose, in many respects, a very real threat to world peace. So we want a good organization, but right now I think they are desperately in need of an overhaul.
In light of all of the good things that happened to you last year, and deservedly so, I might point out here,
well, thank you, Don.
This might be a good year for you to get married.
Oh, my gosh.
Do you still...
May
I ask you a personal question?
You mean you're not going to tell anyone?
No, well, no. So you don't have a situation at this time, or do you?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No. I've just recently met a very nice person, but there are a lot of nice people, and no, I do not. You told me, and Deidre said she was going to look for a nice, eligible person for me.
Well, we may have a contest here or something. It wouldn't be bad being married to you, would it, or would it?
Oh, gosh, it's a tough lifestyle. It really is. And you can have a great friendship maybe, but I think maybe the marriage thing gets kind of tough when you have demands, particularly during election time. Now, of course, I don't have an election for 4 years if we do run again, and I'm only going to run if you suggest we do it.
Well, if Howard and I support you, I don't think there's any way you can lose.
That's right. That's right.
Senator
D'Amato. We've got 3/4 of the market.
Senator D'Amato, Happy New Year and thanks.
Happy New Year to you, and again, health and success in your new marriage. I think it's fabulous.
Well, thank you, Senator.
Take care, Don.
Alphonse D'Amato here in the Iverson Morning Program 22 after the hours. Anything else going on?
Well, just a couple of things. You were talking about the president and some of the difficulties that he may have in the days ahead.
He's in Little Rock now, you know. He is Webb's safe.
He's back on home field, home court. The president and first family in Little Rock. They held a reception for old friends there last night. The president will dedicate the William Jefferson Clinton Elementary School just outside Little Rock tomorrow. Says he's happy to be home meeting with the folks back there.
Happy New Year, everybody. How are you? Hello.
Bill and Hillary had a little reception last night.
Yeah, but I mean,
Happy New Year to everybody, and you blow her up.
Well, I did. Well, no, but I mean, was that Hillary?
This was one of one of their happy little moments, and what did you do?
Well, we don't want to hear any happy moments, frankly. It's 23 after the hour in the hour.
Now, continuing his mission to regain political viability, here is the billionaire industrialist, founder of United We Stand, H. Ross Perot.
Amos, hack up that leg for me for just a minute.
Why?
I want to take a look at that ball and chain. Just a little welcome back, Happy New Year, joyous marriage joke, Amos. Yeah. She got you doing rope tricks? Because you look like Bob Packwood in a room full of blow-up dolls. Wore out. Well, the way I see it, about 6 months down the road, you're going to be wishing that discount mattress outfit you're always advertising sold brand name stretchers. Just a little age disparity joke. Yeah. Don't go getting your underwear in a knot. Now, wait a minute. You don't wear undershorts, right?
Well, no.
That is sick. Nothing comes between you and your Calvins, or in this case, your Wranglers.
Right.
I'll bet that ain't the first Wrangler you've ever had wrapped around those scrawny legs, but that's a whole other matter you probably don't want to go into here.
No.
Anyway, I know how these weddings can go sour on you when you're a high-profile person. You remember how George Bush tried to sabotage my world-class daughters?
Yeah.
Now, you didn't have any lesbians showing up on you out there in Utah, did you? No? Oh, that's right. Fred had a date, didn't he?
No, that was four-legged Fred.
Whatever. Now, I get criticized sometimes for being paranoid, Amos, just because I sicked a couple of detectives on my own children.
Yeah.
But I must say, I am very impressed with this new security system you put in right here.
What?
Cameras everywhere, keeping an eye on everything. I like it.
No, those aren't security cameras. This is C-SPAN.
I knew that. I'm a billionaire. C-SPAN, huh?
Yeah.
With that Brian Lame?
No, Brian Lamb.
I'm sticking with Brian Lame, Amos. Have you caught any of those Lincoln-Douglas debate reenactments?
Good point.
Here's a memo to Bobby De Niro and Liam Neeson. Don't turn in your SAG cards just yet, boys. And I don't know how you feel about it, Amos, but the sooner that yellow bus goes off a 100-foot embankment, the better I'm going to like it. Or maybe slams head on into John Madden's bus, and then, just for Mr. Lamb, gets creamed by a speeding bookmobile. I mean, I can't make up my mind which is more riveting. Some absolutely unknown congressman from butt-blemish Arkansas reading an inane statement to an empty House chamber during special orders, or Brian Lamb talking to some bow-tie-wearing egghead who's just written the definitive biography of Millard Fillmore's Treasury Secretary. It just can't suck any worse than that. Now to conclude here, Amos, the 104th Congress opens for business tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Newt, Phil Graham, Jesse Helms, and the boys?
Yeah.
Weren't they those guys who tried to get Ned Beatty to squeal like a pig for him in Deliverance? I mean, believe me, there's your proof that Ross Perot doesn't hold the monopoly on sounding stupid, Amos.
No.
Anyway, the 104th in a nutshell, as Perot sees it.
Right.
We're still held hostage. Nothing different happened on November 8th, and only the names have been changed to protect the guilty. And you can yank that off for your soundbite, Amos.
Yank this.
Ankry? This river don't go to Ankry. He sure got a pretty mouth, ain't he? Take off them panties. And much obliged for having me on your show.
Imus in the morning.
For $3.99 a month, you can lease a top-of-the-line Lincoln.
Try touching
Give me some hot coffee, would you, Stephanie? You know, I like the motto.
He's there for his people, man. Seriously.
I guess he acts. I guess some people tell me he acts a little nuts around. But
Well, you mean when he comes on here? Or?
No. I mean, I just privately.
Oh.
Well, I'll tell you, I've never had anybody call me who needed something done, and he hasn't,
That's it. Senator Pothole.
Maybe I'm being simple.
No, I don't think so. His reputation.
Well, so Bob Dole's at 7:40.
That's correct.
This is a special travel.
And that goof Russert's at 8:10.
Beginning Monday,
Our
January
good friend,
9th,
the
the Rose Lake
yeah.
Bridge entrance and exit ramps to and from the Cross Island Parkway will be
We should touch base with Greenfield this morning, I mean, I wonder if he's home.
in the future. The entire concrete
Probably
ramp
at the IHOP.
placed in both directions. The IHOP reopened by Labor Day 1995. While this work is going on, please use the Clearview Expressway to get to and from the Throws Neck Bridge.
Get another one of them pigs and blankets over here, please.
Expressway or the Grand Central Parkway. The people at MTA Bridges and Tunnels recognize this construction will inconvenience many of their customers. They're working hard to complete the job in the shortest possible time. Beginning January 9th, the Throgs Neck Bridge entrance and exit ramps to and from the Cross Island Parkway will be closed for structural repair. In the meantime, they ask for your patience.
Green necks.
This special traffic
Yeah.
You know what? How it's going to work out, boss, is we're probably going to end up dropping his set.
This is Mary Beth
We'll do, we have
at Hofstra University.
we have 3 sets left at this point in the Bob Dole interview.
At a nationally recognized university.
Well, let's just tell them we're going to drop a set now then.
Spring semester starts
10-4.
January 30th.
You know,
And in order to get these sets in on time, we'd have to be out at 7:36 in order to hit Bob Dole on time.
we will.
From professors who hold the highest degrees in their fields. There's
Give me that Beavis and Bubba Joycelyn Elders thing.
Division I sports, intramural competition, and a state-of-the-art fitness center.
Is that still happening, or is that just old news? What is that all about?
No, that's still good.
On Babe
Still
Ruth,
funny.
to the Shakespeare Festival, and many other clubs and activities, you can see why Hofstra truly.
That Rush Limbaugh trouble thing is great.
Last year,
I mean, it's fabulous. Problem is, it's 4 minutes long, but
boy, it's
financial aid, including scholarships and grants.
But we've got time.
Call me.
How do you think Al was?
At 1-800.
I like him better as Mad Dog D'Amato as opposed to Mr. Nice Guy
Best
here.
offers ever to January 29th. Sign up for cellular service with a 30-minute value plan, and you can talk up a storm with an extra 30 minutes of evening weekend talk time every month through June at no additional charge.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like him. I don't care what he did.
Was this?
I mean, it would have been better if he'd have been
More time on the phone with Bob on Mother's Day in May. With cellular
He's
service from 9X Mobile, you can
very
talk a lot
diplomatic.
more for a lot less. So get a 30
He's now the towering figure. Man of new stature, D'Amato.
Yeah, well,
It's got to be. Some degree, you know.
no, it's just...
Taking charge. Getting our country back.
9X50. That's 1-800-NY-NEX50.
Oh, man.
I had to pay Stephanie and Lou and Craig and Jane, where these Breen graciously agreed not to take the money, as did you. All right, here's Lloyd McNichol with the 9X Mobile Fan Highway Patrol. Good morning, Laurie.
Good morning, I'm Ann. This report is brought to you by Copeland Ackerman. Nobody fights for your legal rights like the Fair Play Legal Team. If you've been injured, you can get the cash settlement you deserve. For
Do you know these people? These are these two women, or these ambulance chasers, right?
No, they're not ambulance chasers. They're defending people's rights who feel that they have not been fairly represented.
Well, yeah, it's the neck brace deal, right? They have a deal with like Dr. Michael Bronson and some other quacks.
Sure.
OJ's not calling them. Let's put it that way.
Phony up on. Well, you don't see Bob Bennett advertising, do you? I mean,
no.
Well, not really.
Not yet. You never know.
It doesn't pay for the time anyway. Coppola and Ackerman. Well, I want to meet these two people.
Okay.
So, how interesting that they would sponsor, these two attorneys would sponsor the traffic reports, which essentially are traffic accidents.
What does that tell you?
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
It pretty much says it all,
good
doesn't
sponsorship.
it? I'm Imus in the morning. It's 31 past the hour here in New York City. Senator Bob Dole is coming up in just a few minutes, and then we'll talk with Tim Russert. And we're going to try to get a hold of Greenfield and just touch base with Mr. Greenfield, ABC News, and see.
Mollify him.
Just how much weight he's gained over the weekend. And then the new majority whip in the United States House of Representatives, Dick Armey, who we've never talked to.
Yep.
Now, see, here's the distressing sign that we've already, been some indication, is that we're going to have fewer nuts, and they're going to act less crazy.
As demonstrated by Senator Al D'Amato.
Yeah, because no more bug squishing from Alphonse.
Well,
so Bob Dole's always set kind of the right tone. He's always in, hasn't he?
Oh, certainly.
Well, he's not a goofball.
Oh, no, a most in-control individual. Come on.
There's an endorsement.
Maybe Joe. maybe
Gold for president.
Maybe Joe Lieberman and Chris Dodd now will turn into goofballs.
Yeah.
Chris Dodd has the potential to just, well, we know what
Certainly.
Chris Dodd does. Chris Dodd has the potential to crawl around on the floor. So.
Just the goofball formula just shifts to the other side.
That's all.
Yeah.
Maybe all won't be lost. It's 28 till the hour in the yard.
Hey, Bubba, what happened to that Navy chick who looked like Fats Domino?
Joycelyn Elder? Well, I had to fire her, Beavis.
Fire her? How come?
For making inappropriate remarks.
Like what?
Well, she said masturbation should be taught in school.
Master what?
You know, Beavis. Choking the chicken, whacking the weasel, spanking the monkey.
They're gonna teach that in school? Cool.
No, they're not going to be teaching it, Beavis. She just recommended that they do. I don't think masturbation should be a part of the school curriculum.
Yeah. You shouldn't spank your curriculum in school. You, go blind.
I think masturbation is something that should be taught at home.
I don't know. If you, need somebody to teach you how to spank the monkey, I think you probably should go to a special school.
You're right, Beavis. It's not that hard.
Well, maybe you're just not doing it right, Bubba.
No, Beavis. I mean, it's not that difficult. Although it is a sin.
Well, then, I'm going to hell. Breaking the law.
And you know, the best part is you don't have to rely on a state trooper to set it up for you.
Yeah. And you don't have to worry about your wiener slapping you with a sexual harassment suit either.
This is great.
Pee Wee Herman could, teach this at Harvard.
Imus in the morning. 2020 Sports.
The final snap of the 95 Rose Bowl game. He gives it off to Stephen Pitts. Pitts inside the 15, and that'll do it. 3, 2, 1, and the Nittany Lions celebrate.
Yeah, big celebration for Penn State. They are number 2. Good morning. This is Mike Breen with sports. Penn State wins the Rose Bowl. They finished 12-0, undefeated, but no national championship. Polls out this morning give it to Nebraska. Penn State quarterback Kerry Collins upset.
We did all we had to do. We went 11-0. We had a tougher schedule than Nebraska did in the regular season. We won the Rose Bowl by 18 points. I mean, what more can we do to get a national championship? It's a shame we're not going to get it.
Collins is also a member of the school's debate team. Played well in the victory. Lions.
You'll have to beat Nebraska. That's what you'll have to do to be number 1. So that's all that.
There you go.
It's 25 till the hour in New York. Could any of the animals...
What?
In the halftime at the Orange Bowl do any tricks? Could they do anything?
No, they couldn't.
And how hideous is it to have a bear halftime at the Orange Bowl with his mouth taped up? Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
God, I mean...
Where's the ASPCA?
And are there... I mean, I hate to be hideous here, but are there enough fat teenagers in Florida? Did they all have to put on spandex outfits and dance in the Orange Bowl?
Man, oh, man.
And then you have the people... why have this big circus and you have this nitwit on a bicycle and he's got a woman on his shoulders and she's holding 3 monkeys and Joycelyn Elders and they're about ready to ride the bicycle across the tightrope and they cut away to another fat kid. I mean, what kind of a show was that?
Oh, horrible.
And what was the deal with this elephants all on Prozac? Huh?
I don't know, man. It's hideous.
But the saddest thing was this poor bear with his mouth taped up who could do nothing. Mm-hmm. It was just a bear was just retarded. I mean, the bear was going to drive the car. The bear gets in the car and pulls the steering wheel off. I mean, that's a halftime at the Orange Bowl.
Teen Angel. Imus in the morning.
For some folks, the road to riches can take some pretty strange detours. Like the guy who was convinced that whole wheat bubble gum would be the wave of the future.
Bastard.
Or the lady who
Your
was
little friend
determined
Lou?
to pioneer
Excuse me for swearing at you, Lou, but...
delivery. Or the couple who stake their future on a dog racing track for dachshunds. Listen, if you're looking for money-making ideas that really work, write down this phone number, 1-800-733-3300. Call now and subscribe to Income Opportunities Magazine. Every issue
I'd give everybody $100. I'm not giving you
proven business ideas that are inexpensive to start off.
You guys want any coffee or anything?
Franchises, mail order. You could earn $35,000.
Okay.
Coke?
All right.
And discover the ideas and management secrets to make them
Coke. So, yeah. Did I say I'd pay you for this? No, I didn't do it.
get 12 issues of income opportunities for just
No, not somebody who's got as much money as you do. She has more money than I do. So how was everything?
Great.
Was it?
Great. How'd the wedding go?
Well, just great.
Gladys showed me some pictures.
Did she?
Yeah, they look great.
You know, it's
Beautiful up there.
It went great. Good so.
Yes, it really did.
Good.
And honestly,
Honeymoon?
Honeymoon?
How was that? You didn't have a honeymoon?
Well, I guess we sort of did. We've been on our honeymoon. We went to Canyon de Chelly and rode horses in 30-degree weather.
That's a barrel of laughs.
You know, she'd never ridden a horse before.
Yeah?
But she actually, she was on it for 5 hours. That's a long time to be on a horse. She never ridden one.
Looked like she knew what she was doing.
But she was actually did fine. But you know, I figured out with these Indians, they've, well, I'll tell you about it. I just want, I don't know, I just, maybe some orange juice in there. That's all.
That's it?
Yeah, for now, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what. So we just go to Bob Dole here, right?
That is correct. Hopefully, if he calls in any minute now.
He's late sometimes, isn't he?
I'll straighten him out, man.
And now, all these Goodyear tires are on sale. Participating Goodyear retailers all across America. Thousands of Goodyear Eagles, Goodyear Wranglers, and Goodyear Aquadreads are all on sale now.
Nobody worse than the president. Where's that letter from him? Let me go find out.
Please have one. Try this one. You should try these. You really should.
Some things are too good to keep to yourself. Like Quaker rice cakes.
Hey, it tastes good. I like it, but I love that caramel one. Caramel? I'm in trouble. Wow, major crunch going on here. Try it. Try any one of the flavors.
Senator Dole is holding.
Fat, 0 grams.
He's out of the room at the moment, Bernie.
Some things are too good to keep to yourself.
Can we take this home with us?
Hey,
He's looking for his latest White House communication.
You want to call back?
Patsy Powers of Marshall, Texas, and Michael Cantrell of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Hi, Patsy.
How much time is left? 30 seconds.
AT&T True Voice is a breakthrough in sound technology.
That's true.
That's false.
Senator Dole is holding, Mr. Imus.
He did was turn up the volume and bass.
That's a technological breakthrough.
Now, Mike, it's your turn. Hi, Don. True or false? True USA means discounts for all AT&T customers. True. False. 20 million.
So that's it.
Customers save zipple, zilch, not a single penny, and they're stuck paying the highest basic rate in America.
Ask me some baseball questions. I'm better at those.
AT&T True Voice and AT&T True USA.
It just doesn't ring true.
I'm Imus in the morning. It's exactly 20 minutes till the hour here in the RC. Well, I found this letter that the president wrote me.
Yeah.
Dear Don, thanks so much for the signed copy of your new book, God's Other Son.
Mm-hmm.
Which we found in the safe, which Paul Begala passed along to me. Didn't you tell me Begala now, he and Carville have diminished influence, Bernard?
Yes.
And these are the people who we hitched our wagon to their stars?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're juiceless,
And then he has a little hand. The president's handwriting is not that great. Plus, he looks like he spelled laugh wrong.
Put an E on the end.
I've started it. I need a laugh. Now cut me some slack for Christmas. Okay, we'll cut you some slack, Mr. President. And now here on the Imus in the Morning program, Senator Robert Dole. Good morning, Senator Dole.
That's not a way to cut him slack, but
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
How are you?
Congratulations, too.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. It's been a great year. We took over the Senate and the House. We got married.
Yeah. Well, Newt says it's going to be the longest opening day in the history of the House tomorrow. What does that mean, do you suppose?
Well, we're going to have a lot of new members sworn in. I think Newt's going to make the speech, and they're going to pass a number of bills. So it's going to be a pretty heavy day on the House side. On the Senate side, on the first day of the session, we'll swear in members, and that's about all we do on the first day. But we'll start our legislative schedule on Thursday.
I bet John Warner's happy he doesn't have to walk Ollie North down the aisle, isn't he?
Well, I hadn't checked in, but probably hadn't caused you too much pain.
I was out in the middle of the Navajo Indian Reservation for 3 weeks, Senator. But when this whole Newt Gingrich book deal went down, what actually did you say about that?
I said I didn't want to pass judgment on it. In fact, I didn't know he intended a press conference the following day to say he wasn't going to take the advance. But I did indicate that I'd been asked questions about it by people saying, I thought this was going to be a new way. You guys were going to be different, But Newt, I think, handled it the way he should have handled it.
wasn't initially a bestseller, and unfortunately, I never got the money in front. There's a big article in the Washington Post this morning suggesting, as I've suggested for a long time, that if you don't get the money in front from these book publishers, it's you're never going to get it. So, how Senator Dole, how long do you folks have the Republicans in Congress before people like Tim Russert and Maureen Dowd jump all over you?
Well, I think probably the media generally probably give us 60 days, and I think even more importantly, how long will the American people give us? I think it's going to be about 60 to 100 days, maybe a little longer. And if we actually propose things we promised we would do, which we will do, and vote on those things, we may not succeed in every case, but I think as long as we've made the effort, then I think we'll be in fair shape.
Which are the important issues?
I think initially would be the balanced budget amendment, line item veto. Now, these are more or less process things, but they resonate with the American people. They live within their budgets, or they go into bankruptcy. They believe we should do the same. The line item veto is not understood by everyone, but it simply means that if Bob Dole puts something in an appropriations bill, for example, for my state of Kansas, that I can't justify the president, or shouldn't be justified, the president can take it out. Now, these are sort of process things. I think another whole area is sort of reforming the Congress, making us comply with the same laws that businessmen and women do. So we'll become the example and not what American people perceive to be as part of the problem.
Term limits, are they important? I mean, I heard a lot.
Term limits, well, we were talking about our small state of Kansas. It's a great state, but it's not large compared to New York and others. We will have. I'm the majority leader from Kansas. We have a Secretary of Agriculture from Kansas. We have the Chairman of the Agriculture Committee, Chairman of the Labor Committee, my colleague Nancy Kassabaum, Chairman Small Business Committee in the House, Jan Myers. And we would have none of this had we had term limits in a small state. The term limits, I think may be a minus, but I think we promised the American people we'll vote on term limits, so we'll have that vote. Will the term limits passed? I think it's a close call.
I was talking with a rather subdued Senator Alphonse D'Amato here a few minutes ago.
Was he awake?
Well, yeah, he was, but he's settled. With this new stature of his. He's.
I talked with him yesterday. He was sorting out. He told me clothes he had worn for 20 years, and I guess he's going to start wearing them. I don't.
I hear a lot of talk about, and I don't understand, and maybe I should, but I'm going to ask anyway, about you folks passing laws that will require you to abide by the same ones we do. Well, what does that mean?
Well, it means when it comes to fair labor standards, when it comes to civil rights laws and safe working place, many of them probably will never kick in, but will not be affected by them. But I think that we need to demonstrate, particularly small business women, and men and women, they tend to be sort of the backbone of American economy. They fret about we passed all these laws because we don't have to live under them, so we don't mind passing more regulations, more impact on their businesses. So that'll be the first thing we do in the Senate, and I think the first thing that Newt's going to do in the House.
How long does this atmosphere of accommodation exist between the Congress and the President, if there is one?
I think it's hard to measure. The President said last week in his radio address he wants us to put partisan differences aside. Well, my retort is, that's fine, Mr. President, but it's a two-way street. And I think in many cases we will do that. The American people don't want constant bickering back and forth between Democrat in the White House and Republicans in the Congress. But in other areas, we're going to have to fight it out with the President. We didn't get elected, at least if we read the messages correctly on November 8th. The American people want to change, and change would not be agreeing with President Clinton on every issue.
And that's likely, I think I heard Newt Gingrich say that he thought, not to keep quoting him, but and maybe you said it, that he thought that 95 probably was a year that you're supposed to get a lot done, but then it would be difficult to.
Right, you're almost in the 96 election cycle. But you'll have, I think, as Al D'Amato may have said, he's going to start off with very serious hearings on a number of issues that affect the financial community and business generally. We're going to be doing a lot of that, going back and looking at the things that have passed, been enacted 10, 20 years ago, see whether they could be, the laws need to be updated, repealed, modified, whatever. So chairman. They now have we can set the agenda. A lot of serious areas we're going to look into to see if we can make life a little easier for the average American.
Well, how do you folks, how do the Republicans, I was thinking of a way to phrase this, how do you keep the president from co-opting these legislative proposals of yours and taking credit for them and still get anything done?
Well, I think it can be. I don't see how the president can co-opt because his constituency will not be strongly supporting the Republican measures. So he's going to be torn, as any president would be torn, between different interest groups, different factions, different coalitions. And you might note, about the polls, he sort of hangs in there at 43, 45%, pretty much the same group that elected him in 1992. So I think he can't try to out-Republicans because if he does that, I don't think he gains anything, but he'll lose a lot with his own political base.
So it's kind of a tightrope he'd be walking in. So, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
It's a tightrope for the president, and it's obviously a new experience. When he was in Arkansas, they only had a handful of Republicans in the legislature, and when he came here, he found out it didn't take much more than a handful to cause him problems. Now we have control. So it's got to be a whole new experience for President Clinton coming from a Democratic state as he did, and now after 2 years in the White House, having to deal with Bob Dole and Newt Gingrich on a daily basis.
Speaking of that,
not that we're bad, but we have a different philosophy.
Yes. Who is the de facto head of the Republican Party?
Well, the USA Today said in a poll that I was.
We did a poll here in the Imus and Winning program. You won that one too, Senator.
But I think the titular head probably is Haley Barbour, who's an outstanding chairman of the party and done a great job. In my view, he sort of keeps us all together and speaks for the party. On the political side, when it comes to policy, then it's Bob Dole in the Senate and Newt Gingrich in the House. And obviously, Newt's going to, as the Speaker, going to have a great deal of power. He can move things much more quickly than we can. I think he's going to meet the challenge and be a great speaker. So we're really excited about tomorrow.
You're going to be looking at things like the future of NATO and the
future of NATO. Foreign policy is not going to be on the back burner. We're looking at the agreement with North Korea, whether or not we've mishandled, or what in Bosnia, Yugoslavia. So there'll be it's going to be a bit different in Washington, but hopefully it's going to be constructive. We're not. Our aim is not to go out and try to find fault with everything that President Clinton may propose or may have done. Whether it's Whitewater, as Aldemano may have indicated, that's not going to be on the front burner. We're going to take a look at Whitewater, but not initially. We believe we need to demonstrate to the American people that given the responsibility, we can act responsibly, and that's going to be our first test.
Going to take a look at, I asked Senator D'Amato this, take a look at the $28 billion we're spending on the CIA.
On the CIA, we'll take a look at that, certainly are.
Who would you support to take that over? I heard Warren Rudman's name mentioned, and some other folks.
Well, Warren Rudman would do an outstanding job. Then I've heard Mr. Deutsch, who's now the Deputy Defense Secretary. And I hear the President may take a closer view himself, may have a more hands-on approach to CIA matters. But obviously, it needs to be reshuffled, and there's going to be a whole new blue ribbon panel taking a look at the CIA, and that they'll be starting under the direction of former Secretary of Defense Les Aspin, who, in my view, can do a good job. Everybody's going to take a hard look at it, the executive branch and the Congress, and see if we can't figure out some way to modernize and restructure the CIA and also reduce the cost of its operation.
Now, if we were going to write a check this morning and send it to the Dole for President Committee, do we have an address for that yet? Or?
We don't have in fact, we haven't made the announcement. We don't have the address. We're be meeting later this week, early next week, on whether or not we should move ahead with what we call an exploratory committee, which is the next logical step, and I assume we'll probably do that. But we don't have an address. Yes, that's the way we haven't made that decision.
Well, will you let me know as soon as you do?
I'll call you. Be one of the very first to know since we started. started out on radio, and then we were in People Magazine. Now we're on C-SPAN. I think there's more and more likelihood of a Dole Imus ticket.
Senator Dole, good luck tomorrow, and thanks very much.
Thank you, Don. Good luck. Happy New Year.
Robert Dole here in the Imus Morning Program. Rush Limbaugh.
He came into the world from the right side of town, Georgia boy who was big and round, and his mom and dad thought they were being cute. Because even though he was their pride and joy, they christened him unlike all the other boys. I tell you, life ain't easy for a boy named Newt. He dedicated his life to the GOP, wanted to be speaker since the age of 3, dreaming one day he'd wield power absolute. He's a guy who spends a lot of time in the fridge, and it's no wonder he wants to bring back the orphanage. You would too if your parents named you Newt. He learned how to add and how to divide, married his math teacher and multiplied, but when he went to subtract himself as a matter of course, it was slimy and low rent, the media said, to visit his wife in her hospital bed to get her to grade his paper for a divorce. Well, it may be because he hails from the South, but he's got a little problem controlling his mouth, making statements that the media thinks are crude. Sometimes he pushes the envelope, like saying everybody at the White House is smoking dope, but he don't mean no harm, that's just old Newt. When he went to D.C., Mr. Gingrich swore someday he'd be there on the Capitol floor, chucking out liberals with a big self-satisfied sneer. And it took almost half a century to get Republicans back in the majority, but when it happened, he said, "My name is Newt. How do you do? All you commies out of here." All you atheists had better beware. School children's heads will now be bowed in prayer, beseeching the Lord to get rid of the poor and the queers. Because Newt and his Republican protégés are going to fix this country in just 100 days. I'm so proud of him, I'm on the verge of tears. If I had only one life to live, I'd still do it all as a conservative. But if I ever have a son, I think I'm going to name him Bob or Jesse, anything but Newt.
Rush Limbaugh here in the Imus Morning Program and a boy named Newt. It's coming upon 4 minutes till the hour here in the hour. Attention all local stations around the country in the Imus Morning Network. I guess Bernard told you we
did what we vowed we would not do.
Well, I understand that. We had to drop a stop set. But yeah. We'll make that up sometime, won't we?
In the 9 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
So. You just shut up for a minute.
Well, one of the things I've noticed, I listen to the Albuquerque station, is they do way too much sports and way too much stuff.
Here we go.
Come on.
Imus in the morning.
All right, let me talk to you about, what am I going to talk to him about?
Looks like the strike zone.
Here's another message from the Strike Zone, that wonderful source for all you collectors of sports cards and comic book memorabilia. At 4207 31st Avenue in Astoria, Queens, described as a collector's paradise. The Strike Zone is just that. They must be doing okay if they can
put it on here. You darn right.
Offering weekly specials at unbeatable prices and always displaying the very newest and exciting collectible items. The Strike Zone is a place you have to get to know. I wish I'd really had taken a little more time to involve myself with this. But
yeah, but it's a great place.
But it's a great place to buy like an old Mickey Mantle card,
sure.
like Bob Costas. Go around with that in your pocket. 4207 31st Avenue, Astoria, Queens. You got a bunch of folks that know what's going on, and they know what they have in their inventory, which does help. They're open 7 days a week, and they ship anywhere. You can call them at 718-272-1292, 272-1292. It's a 718 number. Well, it is be time to talk to you about that dial mattress now.
Oh.
You're sleeping on that lumpy thing, baby. Brand new mattress. It's called the Dial-A-Pedic Diamond, made by Spring Air. What they did is they incorporated the best features from other manufacturers, and they have designed what they call the Dial-A-Pedic Diamond. One side is wool, in an ode to Dan Jenkins, and the other side is silk.
Look out.
In an ode to...
I don't know.
Peter Allen, I guess.
Slide off that thing.
Yeah, one side keeps you cool and the other side keeps you warm. And it seems like a good idea if you'll turn your mattress over or just crawl under it and sleep under it for half a year. Like a mole. Dial a mattress like one of the bed bugs, baby.
Fine.
Dial a mattress. Call them and get the mattress. 1-800-MATTRESS, MATTRES. Leave the last us off. Think of that as representing savings, which in fact you'll discover that it do. Do that. Dial a mattress.
The holiday season is upon us. Snow is on the way. The aroma of home cooking.
Stephanie, I need some hot coffee. This coffee sucks.
Even bigger chill. Curlin Securities.
Who's on the hotline?
And I was just informed that the hookup with Fred is complete.
Now these bonds have a high
and I'm getting him on the horn now.
Maturity and send you an income check every 6 months. Now that's a switch because isn't it better to get a check from utility than sending them one? These bonds are for
I was golden.
years are non-callable to go along with their 10%
that's just a lot.
Regardless of where you live, get to the phone. Call Curlin Securities now and take the chill out of your phone and put a warm smile on. Call now 1-800-899-9400. That's 1-800-899-9400. The yield is 10% and it's available now.
Now it's Roger and Fred Imus both on hold.
Price and market fluctuation. Investor may receive more or less if sold prior to maturity. Member NASD, SIPC. Call now 1-800-899-9400.
Only Maxon Auto Group has triple holiday savings. First, buy any brand new Pontiac, Honda,
First of all, Fred should give Bob a raise for sending that thing here.
2,000 car available inventory.
What do you think so far, Bernie?
No money down. Second,
Very
buy
good.
now and pay later. Buy any brand new car.
Joel was pretty good.
Make absolutely no payments until April 1995. Third, trade your old car in and get at least $4,000 for it, regardless of age, condition, or mileage. Even if you tow it in. Toward the purchase of any new clearly marked select vehicle in stock. Maxon Auto Group on Route 22 west in Union, New Jersey. Call 1-800-YES-MAXON for no money down. No payments till April.
How old is Dole?
70? 71? 70.
Looks good, doesn't he?
Oh, he looks wonderful. God. It's a hunk.
All right.
That's what I will tell him.